and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your NASCAR betting and DFS home. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me, coming to you live from Las Vegas, is Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, Kyle? Yeah, this is becoming a more frequent vacation, or so you could say, as I head out to our place in Vegas more often. I'll probably start being here, at
Turns
least
out
a
when
month.
you have a condo and you're
Yeah.
like 4 hours away, it's an easy decision to make.
Yeah, it's becoming a lot more convenient, and we figured out we get a discount on taking the Las Vegas monorail thing. So it's very easy for me to get up and down the strip, head to multiple sports books, deposit money when I get here, and then play the market that's here, which unfortunately isn't as good as what everyone else is able to get at the online sites of like FanDuel, Caesars. The Caesars numbers aren't always the same, but it's nice to be able to shop the markets out here.
Well, it's interesting though, because there is opportunities to bet like not top fives, not top tens, other stuff, and just having a variety of places to go, as us California guys don't really have that access. So a hell of a lot better than what I'm looking at. But so let's talk about the Wurth 400, 500, 400. Thank you.
That will probably be raced on Monday. I really don't see them getting this in tomorrow on Sunday. We're recording this Saturday. 90% chance of rain. Like, why the hell would they even start the race?
Well, so they moved it back a couple hours to see if that could help. I'm guessing that gives them more wiggle room or if they have to wait an hour. But yeah, you're probably right. As a Sacramento Kings fan, I'm not disappointed if they end up moving it to Monday, because then I can focus on Game 7. But I do want them to get the race.
Kyle making a bold statement on that.
Well, we got Game 7, baby.
I know, but you want to watch that? You think the Kings got?
I gotta watch
a legit shot here.
I gotta watch my Kings. They're coming home. They won in San Francisco. I gotta watch my Kings. They got a shot. They're tipping the ball off. They just gotta win one game. They've already won 3. We can win one more. But yeah, so we'll talk through the DraftKings slate, look at some pricing. Obviously, the grid was predetermined, but there was some practice today. Yeah. So we'll use that for what it's worth. But let me pull up the screen here, Brian, and we can dive in. So Kyle Larson, starting 18th, 11.5, is one of 2 drivers in the 11K range, along with teammate William Byron, starting 8th. I'm going to lump in the 10K guys and we can go through them all. So we got Chase Elliott, 10.8, Denny, 13th, 10.5, Christopher Bell starting 2nd at 10.3, Truex starting at Infinite, rounding out the 10K range, starting 17th. I guess for me, it feels like a Larson and or Byron and then kind of jumping, but there is a lot of interesting names and a lot of potential here. Who are the names that you are gravitating towards?
Well, I mean, not reading too much into practice, Larson was awesome, as expected, which is the reason why prior to practice and qualifying and all that garbage, he was like 5-1, 5.5-1 everywhere. He's gotten even shorter after the odds have been reposted, which I find really interesting. And obviously these past races were set based on actual qualifying, but I mean, there's something to be said by the fact that each of the last 17 winners, or it's only like one or 2 of the last 17 winners started outside the top 17. So I mean, he's not starting in one of those money spots, but you and I, just talking for DraftKings, we've gone to the top of the board maybe once or twice, and it's bit us in the ass a couple of times. So I don't know how much I want to get there from DK, from a DK perspective. So
no, that is a good point. It's just he is really compelling. He'll probably be very popular. The betting market is setting the table, and I think DraftKings players will follow along. Byron is compelling. Chase Elliott is compelling. Christopher Bell could be a guy that starts up in the front and is a real good dominator. There's a lot of names there, so it'll be interesting to see what we do when we come to actually building lineups. We'll go into the 9K range where we have Ross Chastain starting 14th at 9,800. Kyle Busch starting on the pole at 96. Kevin Harvick starting 12th at 9,300 will be an easy click for almost everybody.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick starting 7th at 9K. Do you have any interest in Kyle Busch on the pole? And then beyond him, who else or who would you click on?
I mean, I tweeted out yesterday, I got a huge number on Kyle Busch that have just been kind of sitting there for the cherry picking prior to qualifying over at Circa. It was 23-1 on an outright. Now, admittedly, I was not that high on Busch coming into the weekend just because RCR hasn't been that impressive on these shorter or intermediate ovals. Yeah. So, him starting on pole, he's got a decent history here. It's not been like a rocket ship ever really. And if you do take anything away from practice, I mean, they're going to have to make some substantial changes because he looked like garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from a betting perspective, that number is incredible, and you were smart to jump on it. From a DraftKings perspective, I don't think he's somebody that I really want to gravitate towards. I'd rather go up to like Christopher Bell, or we'll go down to some of the other names. I'm into Chastain at 9,800 starting 14th. Obviously into Harvick starting 12th. What about, I know you hate him, but Joey Logano starting 26, 8,800. Doesn't necessarily need to win the race, but get in the top 5, top 10, and you got yourself a nice little day at 8,800.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate going to Logano. I just, Penske, they haven't really shown well at Dover as a whole over the past few years. So I really don't know what we're doing with them this week. I know they were talking about, I think it was Larry McReynolds was saying how Penske kind of brainstormed between the 3 crew chiefs and they came up with like a brand new plan for this weekend at the Monster Mile. So it'll be interesting to see what we get on the longer runs on Sunday. I would almost prefer to go maybe one of the Hendrick guys, Larson or Elliott, starting towards the back of the teens, and then maybe add Logano in there, thinking that you would then have potentially 2 top 5 cars, starting far in the field. But me and my Logano hatred, if I'm on him, he sucks. If I'm fading him, he normally does good. So
yeah,
I guess if I'm in the middle, he's going to finish in the middle.
Yeah, no, I think that's all completely fair. The rest of the 8K range, we have Ryan Blaney starting 3rd, 8,600. Brad Keselowski, 8,400. Chase Briscoe, 82. And then Bubba rounds out the 8K range. Bubba's obviously starting in the back. Opportunity to move forward, make some serious dents in the field. Are you interested in Blaney, Keselowski, or Briscoe as a potential early dominator?
I have zero interest in Blaney. I'm going to be honest with you. Starting near the front of the field, I just don't think that Blaney is somebody that I can trust to stay on the track. Keselowski, for what it's worth, he had the fastest single lap speed during practice.
Yeah,
and he's been pretty good here. Starting 4th, you're getting a fairly good discount, 8,400. I think he could stay within the top 10. But again, just like Logano, it's always dangerous with me being on the side of a Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, Keselowski definitely saw his car fall off as the longer he ran, but like we said, the practice was a little wonky this morning. So RFK has been much better all season, and obviously Keselowski's looked pretty solid. So I do think he is a nice kind of a potential early dominator that I don't think a ton of people will be on. So I think that is a good call on your part. We'll go into the 7K range. We have Suarez starting 15th. We have teammate of Brad Keselowski starting 5th, Christopher Buescher. Josh Berry, we didn't get to talk about this on Tuesday when we recorded, but Josh Berry will be filling in for Alex Bowman over the next few weeks. Starting 23rd. Obviously, getting the experience in the 9 car was really good for him. I think could be good for his confidence and become somebody that, while I don't love him to like maybe win the race, I think he could be interesting, especially because he's running the Xfinity race today. So he's getting a little more experience on the track. So that is an interesting option there at 7,500. No interest in Ricky Spinouts, 73. Ty Gibbs, as rounds out the 70 or the 7K range rather. We talked a little bit about Gibbs and how just kind of impressive overall he's been. Is he somebody starting 24th? Maybe we get, flirt with it, get a top 10, maybe a top 5 finish at 7,100. Like he's somebody that could move through the field and make some noise.
I I don't know if Dover is that kind of track where a rookie
Yeah.
is going to be able to make the kind of noise that we've seen him, do at a lot of other places. I mean, we saw it in practice how quickly the tires were getting torn to shreds, and
Yeah.
with the cold weather, they were talking about how the rubber just wasn't taking onto the concrete track. So it'll be interesting to see how he fires off. I can't really trust him. Just like you, Stenhouse, he's an absolute no go. I think Josh Berry is an intriguing driver this week. He performed really well in the 9 car over those latter couple of races. He's stepping into another elite equipment with HMS for a team that has performed really good here in the past. That Bowman taking a win 2 years ago and Barry performing pretty well in the Xfinity Series. I think he's somebody that will be rostered pretty heavily. If I was making a bunch of lineups, he'd be one of my main guys. And then even for him, like when we look at the betting market, he's a pretty intriguing play when you look at placements or matchups or even group plays.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. He's definitely someone that will garner my interest. The 6K range, we got Ryan Preece starting 30th at 6,900, Cindric at 68, starting 20th, McDowell, who looked pretty dang fast in practice, starting 32nd. Obviously, probably not going to win starting that far back. It's going to be hard to move all the way to the front, but that could be a guy who moves through the field pretty well, gives you a solid day, and at 6,600 could make a lot of sense. Rounding out the 6K, we have Almirola starting 19th, Austin Dillon starting 36th, another guy who could start in the back, another couple pit stalls, different things. All of a sudden he's, in the mid pack or moving up towards the front. And then Eric Jones starting 11th, and Dinger starting 29th, rounding out the 6K range. What are your thoughts on that range?
Oh, man, it's almost like a complete fade group for me. I think of the guys, regardless of what past history says, I think Preece among all of them, and maybe McDowell has been kind of the most impressive the last couple of weeks. It's interesting. Austin Dillon's going to be going to a backup car as he completely tore the left rear quarter panel of his number 3 during practice, of being the first guy to spin out and give the old Monster Mile a little bit of black streaks on the in turn 3, I believe it was. So Dillon is somebody I'm not really interested in him going to a backup car. They're going to have a lot of work ahead of them tonight, getting that car set up for him tomorrow. And the fact that he didn't really get to run very many laps, in practice at all. And then we didn't get qualifying, so really no track time for him. So I think he's going to be a tough sledding for him. So I think for me, probably be Preece and McDowell would be the most intriguing. And just because McDowell is starting a little bit further back, he's probably somebody that's a little more in line with the type of lineups we like to build.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. Rounding out the rest of the pack, we have Gilliland starting 34th. We have Justin Haley 25th. Did you see Noah Gragson's haircut?
Yeah, he looks like Friar Tuck.
Oh my god, it looks like they put a freaking bowl on his head and just cut around it. What are you doing? No, I know. I guess it's sort of a bet, but I don't know. Harrison Burton, Corey LaJoy, JJ Yaley, Ty Dillon, Brennan Poole, and BJ McLeod starting 22nd. What are we gonna do? Are you interested in any of these names if you're desperate? I guess if you're desperate, who is the name that you would fall to if you're like, I need someone below 6K?
Oh man, what is it? Haley, you said is starting 35th.
Haley's 25th, Gragson's
25th.
33rd, Harrison Burton's 31st.
I don't know. I would probably go with Gragson. I don't know. It's basically a crapshoot with all of these guys. I do think that Haley is somebody that intrigues me at 25th. I think he's far enough back to where he's a safe bet to maybe crack the top 20. I mean, at 5,600, you're not asking for much.
Yeah, last year he started 14th and finished 11th, so obviously was able to move forward, even led 19 laps, so that's positive note. Interesting, and he ran in terms of driver rating was like 12th or something, so pretty decent. Wouldn't hate that at all. Obviously, just one race, but something to think about. Okay, let's build a lineup and see if we can find ourselves in victory lane. So, I think I'm a little more optimistic on Larson, but I am completely fine punting on him if you want to do that. So, if you had your opportunity and you wanted to put the first name in, who are you clicking on?
Well, don't get me wrong. I do think that Kyle Larson is going to perform extremely well. I mean, if you saw our show early in the week, he was my best bet to top 5 at negative money. So I'm not gonna back off that. I just worry too about the roster percentage going with the top
Yeah.
guy. Like you could be burned or you're gonna get screwed by not having him. So I honestly I feel like we save salary and we go with the other Hendrick guy, and that's Elliott at 10-8
Okay. Let's
starting
do
a
it.
little bit,
Cut off
couple spots.
both, and then let's go down and take Josh Berry. Starting 23rd, we'll go double Hendrick, but not Byron or Larson.
All right, I like that. Okay, the next guy for me, I mean, we're continuing in the Chevy trend. We didn't even talk about him with the salary. He's the last guy that you could see right there. Daniel Suarez, 7,800. I added him late. I sent out a tweet. I made a short for work there. Daniel Suarez, top 10, plus 175 early in the week was one of my favorite plays. I don't think that he's not going to perform that. He is also a guy who spanned during practice and then put together, I believe it was like the 13th fastest single lap speed. He ran pretty well during the 10 lap averages. He does really well here in elite equipment, and Trackhouse, I think everyone can admit, has definitely taken that next step. All right.
Let's ride with Trackhouse.
Let's go.
I like
Let's
Ross this week. The more the week has gone along, the more I've been talking myself into him, and it's an easy click for me, right? I love me some Ross Chastain, so I'm always willing to talk myself into him. All right, Brian, we need to find a dominator who is relatively affordable and potentially too. So Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher could fit the bill, even Keselowski. If we want to get real gross towards the bottom, we could go Michael McDowell at 66, which gives us 75. So that it gets rid of Buescher and Briscoe. That leaves us really with Richard Stenhouse, who, for what it's worth, was awesome here last year. If we want to go below 6K, Haley, I think makes sense.
I think I think we go Haley and then see who we can
and then we can go up to 85, and that gets us, we can have Keselowski, Briscoe, or Buescher.
Let's get gross. Brad K.
Okay, love it. I love it. Okay, let's save our lineup. Let's run over to our bet card. This is my card as of Tuesday. So Harvick outright, Byron outright at 11 and 7. Kevin Harvick to top 5. Logano over Blaney was my best bet. I also took Byron at top 5 at plus 135, and I took Harvick as the top Ford at plus 190. Over on Brian's card, he has Harvick outright as well. Larson to top 5 at minus $1.30 as his best bet. Harvick over Truex at minus 110. Harvick as the top Ford, and then as he mentioned, the Suarez top 10 at plus 175. So let's go take a look at the numbers as they sit now and see what value we can find. So as Brian mentioned, Larson's numbers are crashing. You can still get 5-1 at Caesars, 4-1 at DraftKings and PointsBet and stuff. So that's going down. Byron is going down as well. You can still get a 7 at Bet 365, I think. But he's 6.5 everywhere else. Chase Elliott, 7.5. Denny, 7. This might be off, so we'll ignore Bet 365 for now. Christopher Bell at 9-1 is kind of interesting. Get him at 11 on DraftKings. I don't hate that, especially with where he's going to be starting. Harvick, we can get as long as 12. That's, a little bit better than what Brian and I got. I think Brian and I would both happily take that at this point.
Definitely.
Let me check something. Ross Chastain is 18-1 for some reason at DraftKings, so I will be betting that.
I was really curious to see what these books were going to repost their lines at, considering we only got a short practice period. And we've seen it in the past at some of the tracks where guys come out and they look like absolute dog crap during practice and then put together a phenomenal qualifying lap. So, because we did not get to see that single lap run for the starting positions, I think a lot of these numbers are skewed in the wrong direction or in a good direction from a betting perspective.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is definitely a race where you're kind of going in the dark, but you're playing the numbers, maybe a little bit more than you would at any other kind of track where you're looking for value. And Chastain 18-1 when he's 12-14 everywhere.
I mean, and that's like my MO most of the time anyways. Like if I find, like when we were in Vegas and I bet William Byron, a big part of it was because I just got such a good number on him.
Yep.
Obviously you have to like the driver and you want to think you have to give them an opportunity to win, but when they're 12 or 14, I think I got them at 17 or 18. Like they're too big of a gap for a guy that I trust too much that I just took advantage of and ended up working out. So that's always my MO. So if I get 18-1 on a guy who's 10-14 in market, I will absolutely do that. Your Kyle Busch number is still looking pretty good. I don't hate the 15 or 16. I'm not.
Personally, I just worry about RCR. Like we talked about this after he won his race. We kind of talked about, he became one of the favorites to win the NASCAR Cup Championship, but those next couple of races, you really got to see the true RCR, and they just are not putting together great cars for these guys to race. And as good as Kyle Busch is, even last week, like that was Talladega, he lucked into a win there.
Oh, 100%. The pick guy was like, no, you need to come in. And he missed it. And he just happened to be out there and he got a win. So like, he fell ass backwards into victory lane. But I think your number is good. I think at this point he's probably, I don't love it, but 15 or 16 is fine.
Yeah.
Blaney at 20, 22, no thanks. Tyler Reddick, no thanks. Logano, I'd rather try one of the RFK guys at 30.
Yeah, I was just on that. I was just going to say, so Logano's been really good here, but one thing about Logano is he hasn't won. Like his best finish is a third way back in 2018, but every other one outside of that is fifth or lower. Like he's finishing inside the top 10, more often than not, but he's not really running at the top of the field. So Logano for me on an outright is not a play. I do think, getting him at the top 10, like we talked about earlier in the week, it's probably the good move right now because you're not going to get as good a number. Now Keselowski, 30-1 at Caesars. I mean, admittedly, I got him at 35-1 here in Vegas. I believe that was at the Westgate. So I fired on that considering the posted lines everywhere else. So, the RFK guys, they both looked pretty good this year. Keselowski in particular, like he's definitely taken a step up from what he did in the first year with the team. So
yeah, I'm adding 30-1. If you can get it at 30 or even like high 20s, I would be fine with it. I think once you start talking 2022, I'd probably rather go up to, I guess it's just a gross range at that point, but if you can get them at 30, I would absolutely jump on that. So I'm taking that as well. Do you think Suarez can win, or do you think he's just a guy who flirts with a top 10, maybe top 5?
I don't know, man. It's in the same breath as Joey Logano. Like he has a third place run here, but outside of that, it's been basically 6th through 10th. That's kind of his finishing position here. And I haven't seen enough out of him to close out races, like, as opposed to his teammate Ross Chastain, who we've seen do it on numerous occasions where he's gotten victories or he's there at the end. Suarez, he finds mistakes or on track errors that could cost him a victory. So I'm more in play for him at the placement still, not
Yeah.
an outright.
So if you're looking at if we're just obviously you don't have to add any of these to your card, but is there anybody in this range, Suarez, Barry, Briscoe, Bubba, and Stenhouse, that if you had to, it was more of a lottery ticket, and you're throwing like $5-10, seeing what happens? Are you interested?
Josh Berry.
Josh Berry would be the name. I think I'm with you.
Yeah, Josh Berry. I believe it was it Martinsville? I forget what track it was where he wound up finishing runner up to Kyle Larson. He looked great. He looked fantastic in those last couple of races in the 9. I really don't think it's going to be that much different. Yes, he's working with a different pit crew, but I mean, he's fairly comfortable with HMS now. So 40-1 on a guy, if that's a real number, even a 35 at DK, like he is good enough, I think, in that equipment that he could steal a win here.
Yeah, like I think, Josh Berry's 35 at DK, so that's fine. I think that's a good point. I also think the fact that he's staying within HMS, it's not like he's going from, even like RFK, RCR, that kind of level, like just being able to stay with Hendrick, knowing the team, knowing all that, I think that helps. So, yeah, if I'm taking a shot on this range, I think he is the name that makes the most sense. Are you taking a gamble on anything else, or should we look at top 10s, top 5s, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going further down the board. I will say I am going to add him to the card. Chase Elliott is 7-1, I believe, is the longest number you can get him out right now. It's a situation where second race back, I think he's going to be a lot more comfortable. He's been really good here. I think he has 7 top 5s in the last 10 races at Dover. He won, I think it was 2 years ago, or was it last year? And then he finished top 4 the previous year. So give me Elliott 7-1.
You can get 7.5 at PointsBet. So those numbers are updated. So if you want to take that, you're more than welcome to.
All right, I'm
pretty interesting. Yeah, I'm with you on him. I think he is interesting. Interested to see him as the third Hendrick driver. I did add, so I added Chastain and I added Brad K at 18 and 30 respectively. So the outright card's getting a little longer, but I think I'm going to cut it off there and be very happy with where I'm at. Let's go to matchups and see if there's any value to be had. The matchups might not be up to date at the moment, but we can roll with what they have. Let's just go over to over here. So Brad K, Daniel Suarez plus 150 over Keselowski. I like Keselowski. Obviously, you like Keselowski.
Damn.
That is an interesting number for a guy who, as we talked about, may not win, but if he's consistently in that like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 range, getting plus 150 on him feels like a good number.
It's going on the card because honestly, in my opinion, both of these guys are more top 10 potential drivers than they are outright drivers. So there's a world where both of them can live within the top 10 and Suarez can still finish ahead of Brad Keselowski.
Or Suarez is like 9th and Keselowski's like 11th or 12th. Like I think that makes
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to add that as well. It's just, I don't know. When I see drivers that I basically are the same relative range, and I can get a massively better number on one guy than the other, I'm gonna take it every time.
Yeah.
Christopher Bell plus 110 over Denny.
That one's so hard, man, because of the 4 Cup Series races that Bell has ran. Last year was the first time he put together a decent day, and Denny, he's Denny Hamlin. He's rock solid everywhere he goes. So it's hard to bet against him at a track where we've seen him in the past.
If it was like plus 125, I'd probably be a lot more interested in it.
Yeah.
Reddick plus 108 over Kyle Busch.
See that one? I can't even take the plus money with Reddick in that matchup. He just has not been good here, and he didn't look good during practice either.
Byron plus 135 over Larson is really compelling. I know Larson's been great, but like you mentioned, like he could be out of the race at some point. Like Byron could just beat him. Like I'm obviously have my outright on him. It's really tempting.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, just as a joke, you could go over to FanDuel and bet Martin Truex Jr. at minus 142 over Alex Bowman. So I don't know how they're going to wind up grading that, but
I'm guessing since Bowman won't start the race, they won't have it. But yeah,
obviously somebody's sleeping over there at FanDuel.
yeah. Well, good old FanDuel is always good to not really pay attention.
Embarrassing.
That is the one thing about NASCAR betting is it's interesting. Okay, so Ryan Preece plus 120 over Ty Gibbs,
Yeah,
or
I like the number.
or Briscoe plus 115 over Busher.
No, I'm not a huge. I'm kind of a downer on Briscoe, but I'm also not super high on Busher. I'm trying not to get too exposed this weekend either.
Yeah, nope, I agree. Let's go to the top 10 market and then we'll head over to Caesars and see if they have any else fun. Brian is monitoring FanDuel, so if there's any other cool stuff or any unique bets over there, it looks like they're not
So they do have top 10 numbers up, FanDuel.
over at Caesars or FanDuel.
FanDuel, yeah.
All right, I'll pull up Caesars then and we'll just go through theirs and then you can
Perfect.
update any numbers that may be better. So let's
You got to go to schedule.
you go to
Or
schedule.
future bets. Sorry.
Future bets. Top 10. All right. So yeah, Larson, obviously big number. Keselowski, like what? Let's figure out where we can jump in that actually makes some sense.
Okay, just hear me out here. So
Listening.
Kevin Harvick minus 180 to top 10. I know nothing is guaranteed in a NASCAR race, but this dude is like a top 10 effing machine at almost every single track he goes to, especially these 1 mile, shorter intermediates. I was racing to Vegas to try to get a minus 140 number that Caesars had dropped early on Wednesday, but of course I didn't get here early enough to hammer that. I mean, if you're gonna lay the cheddar on anything that is pretty risky, I do not fault people for going in on Harvick at that number. I'm not going to do it, but
the contrarian in me, Brian, wants to. If I was in Vegas, I would bet the not top 10 on him.
Yeah, I guess, but I better be getting 2-1.
Yeah, I would love to see what
10.
that number is, but yeah. Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. I think Chastain minus
9 top 10s in the last 10 races here, and the one that he didn't, I believe it was like 14th.
Right.
So it's not like he finished outside the top.
No, I think he's going to have a good day, but I could see him finishing 11th or 12th and you cashing that bet. But like you said, it has to be a good number. Keselowski plus 110 to top 10. That feels nice. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, that's better than FanDuel has it at plus 105 right now.
If I have an outright card and I can get plus, if I have him on the outright card and I can get plus money on him to top 10, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'll take this one.
Oof. You can basically eliminate BetMGM from any future line shopping. All they have is winner and top 2 right now.
That makes sense.
Disgusting.
Suarez is still plus 140.
Plus 175 at FanDuel right now.
Right now?
Right now.
Give it to me.
Yeah, and the other one that I'm adding, Josh Berry is also plus 175 at FanDuel. I'm gonna take a swing and probably miss, but
those are both too good numbers.
Yeah, I really think Berry's probably going to find himself in a full-time ride next year, and HMS is going to be kicking themselves that they didn't get some sort of agreement where they put together a full-time Xfinity ride just for him to make sure he stays in the stable.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm curious, where could he go?
I guess
he could replace Harvick because this is Harvick's last year.
Yeah, there's some rumors about that. I think they were talking about the hell was the other one? I know
That's
they're saying
good.
like Spire, like Ty Dillon only having a 1-year ride there, but why would Josh Berry jump into such
Yeah,
a
I feel like if he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it into a team where he has a chance to grow. I think. What about if is Keselowski kind of towards the end? Like, could he?
as a driver owner, dude, he's gonna ride that out until
That's probably true.
yeah. I mean, think about it. BJ McLeod runs races. I know he's a single car owner, or sometimes they run
Yeah,
2 cars, but I mean, why would Keselowski get out of that?
yeah. No, I think Truex is a 3-year deal. I think didn't he sign or?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so like, but I think replacing Kevin Harvick could make a lot of sense, especially if he performs well and shows that he's worth it. The other thing is someone replaces Harvick and then he jumps into whatever the ride they jump out of.
True.
But I don't think they would go with like an Eric Jones or somebody like that. But you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some good numbers. Plus 175.
But I mean, it's still even these numbers. I mean, we got to be frank here. Like, honestly, these numbers probably should be more in like the 2-to-1 range. I mean, the books are getting ridiculous with the amount of people they have.
The problem is they're not incentivized to give us a better number.
Yeah.
We're gonna bet it. There's not enough money coming in to actually push the number where it belongs. So they're gonna give us a shorter number so they don't get exposed, and they're just gonna we just have to live with whatever they give us. So, the McDowell number at 4-1. What's we at FanDuel
For top 10.
Mm-hmm.
650.
I'm gonna put a little bit on that. It's probably stupid, but I was saying if it was close to 7, I was going to take it. And it's 650. That's fine.
Oh my gosh.
I'm only putting like a fraction of my bet on there, but
FanDuel is asleep at the wheel. So there's a group on FanDuel right now. Not to get off the rails here. There's a group that has Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Alex Bowman.
Okay, so Bowman's out. So what are the odds?
So Bowman so basically you're betting one versus 2 other guys. So you have Bell plus 170, Harvick plus 230, Truex plus 240.
All right, so Harvick. Type Bell, Truex, and Bowman. And what is Harvick's number? Plus 2 what?
Plus 230.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, hello.
Would be nice to live in a state where that happened, but unfortunately it does not.
And they have Josh Berry listed in the top 10 market, so clearly they know that he's being replaced.
Keselowski, Suarez, Priest, Dillon. Don't love that. Hamlin, Truex, Chastain, Reddick. I kind of like Chastain at plus 290.
But see right there. So for instance, in that particular matchup, real quick. So Denny over Truex. Truex and Christopher Bell are really the only 2 Toyota competitors that one could expect to possibly finish ahead of Denny. So you would be much better off than just betting Denny on the top Toyota market than even entertaining that right there, because you could get 2-to-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense that somebody would bet that group.
That's something to think about, and that's why you talk it out, because there is opportunity that people I think miss. So I don't like the groups with like 6 people. I feel like there's too much room for nonsense. So you can get Truex, Denny, and Byron to all finish in the top 5 at 10-1. That's not good enough. What are we doing?
Some of those numbers are ridiculous.
Okay, so what do we do with this? Bowman, Briscoe, and Bell all to get top 10. Bowman's not racing.
Oh my gosh. Come on. It's literally like a cookie cutter thing. They said it early in the week because qualifying got canceled. They're just like, whatever, screw it. We'll just repost everything and just change the lines up to pretend like we at least did something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm out here in Vegas. We did it when we were out here for the Vegas race. I'm really anticipating some morning. I mean, we'll see if they post them tomorrow because of the
They
race
will.
possibly getting postponed. But the driver not to top 5, driver not to top 10, like those are. I think that's a market that is pretty exploitable for
And
sure.
it's cool too because you can parlay them. So
Yeah.
if you don't think
Oh,
a team's going to do very well, you can jump on them.
as evidenced by Kyle hitting both Penske guys not to top 10 at the Vegas race.
That was nice.
Yeah.
What about Josh Berry as the top Chevy? 14-1. Is that good enough? I don't think so.
Honestly, because of the competitors in that, I would rather bet him on the outright market.
Yeah. No.
Because if he's finishing ahead of Larson, Elliott, and Byron, 3 of the race
and
favorites,
Chastain
he's probably winning.
and Kyle Busch, or at least top 3.
Yeah, like you would probably shop the top 3 or the top 5 market for him even.
All right, let's go. He's 8-1
I'm gonna add that.
to top
Let's do
3.
it. Yeah. Let's get wild.
14-1 to top Chevy, and top 8-1 to top 3. I might go with that 14-1
to top Chevy. But the thing though is he could finish 5th and be the 5th Chevy.
That's true.
Like HMS they've been a juggernaut here. They've won, I believe it's 9 of the last 17 trips to Dover.
There's probably a better number. Let's see.
What is he at DK? Let's see the top 5.
That's what I'm doing.
He's only 4-1 at DK.
To top 3?
The top 5.
Oh, I'm looking at top 3. He's 10-1 to top 3 at DK.
Oh, okay.
So that's better than the 8-1 at Caesars. So if you're going top 3, Barry, I would go DraftKings.
I'm gonna play it safer and go down to the top 5 market.
Yeah. It's not quite as fun, but I get it. Because as you mentioned, he could be the 5th Chevy, but still top 5.
Yeah. And again, you run into a situation where I know the rest of the Chevys all have wins, or for Elliott's sake. Okay, that's a scenario right there. If Josh Berry's leading the race and Elliott is running in second, damn well we're going to see an F1 situation where they tell Josh Berry to get out of the way and let Elliott pass, so that way he locks his spot in the playoffs, because Berry can't qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah. No, that's probably a good call.
You know what I mean? So you're stuck in a situation where if he's running 1, 2, 3 with the Hendrick guys, he's falling behind the other 2.
Anything else we should look at? Or are you ready to recap and give the people a best bet and get out of here?
Yeah, I'm going light this week. I'm not getting.
Yeah, it's probably the move. All right, let's recap. So, Brian, I'll let you go first. And then a little bit. Oh, that didn't work. Okay. So let's talk to your card. And let me know what your best bet is.
All right. So earlier in the week, I had a Harvick outright. Kyle Larson top 5 was my best bet. I'm still all over that. If you could get -130, I believe at Bet Rivers, it's possible to get even money, or at least it was earlier today when I was shopping the market. Kevin Harvick over Martin Truex Jr. I still like that. Maybe not as much as I did earlier in the week, but I'm still on that. Kevin Harvick top Ford. The guy's a machine here. I'm still on that. The Daniel Suarez top 10 I added earlier in the week. You could still get this number at FanDuel. So if you like him, I would go hammer that right now. I added a Chase Elliott outright from PointsBet at 750. He's 7-1 everywhere. I like that number as well. And then the only matchup I got that I added today is Suarez over Keselowski. And then I added the Josh Berry top 10 and top 5s. Because the number is still available at FanDuel, my best bet as we're sitting here on Saturday is going to be that Daniel Suarez top 10 at +175 at FanDuel for all you. But I'm just going to keep it with my Caesars one I took earlier in the week. And I'm going to go with a 4-unit play on this because of the one that I had earlier. And I'm just adding the 3.
We are cooking with gas. If you can parlay top 10s, Suarez Chastain top 10 could be fun too.
That would be a lot of fun.
I have 4 outrights as we sit here: Harvick, Byron, Ross, and Brad K. At 7, 11, 18, and 30. I adjust the units accordingly. I have a Harvick top 5. My best bet from earlier in the week was Logano over Blaney, minus 120 for 3 units. I did.
Kyle just trolling me like always.
Yeah, nothing like going after one of your favorites with one of your nemesis. Byron top 5 plus 135. Harvick to top 4 plus 190. Suarez over Keselowski at plus 150 just because of the number. Brad K to top 10 at plus 110. Suarez to top 10 at 175. Josh Berry to top 10 at 175. Michael McDowell to top 10 at plus 650. Thank you, FanDuel. And then Harvick over Bell, Truex, and Bowman. I don't usually love groups, and Josh Berry's top 10 is really, really tempting. But I'm going to go Harvick over Bell, Truex, and Bowman, especially because Bowman does not exist in this world. So I'm going to go for 3 units at plus 230. So I just need Harvick to finish in front of Bell and Truex. If for some reason that gets canceled, the Berry top 10 would be my bet, but it's still available. You can still bet it, so I will still take it. That is where I am at. Brian Twining, great to have you join us from Vegas. Obviously, what's your plan? Are you going to stay for the race, or are you driving back and getting home for it?
Well, I'm definitely going to get up in the morning and see like what the status of the race is.
True.
The plan is to, if the race goes, I'm going to sit, we're going to stay and we're going to watch the race. And if it doesn't, it will probably dip, midday, but I'm anticipating this to get postponed to Monday, which would be fantastic for moi as I work from home. So it would be great to just sit at home, work, and have NASCAR on. But for everyone else, like obviously it's going to suck because people got to go to work. And I'm sure NASCAR
have a little bit of cough on Monday morning.
Yep.
We'll see where it goes. Very excited for the full slate of sports tomorrow. Obviously, Kings Warriors, go Kings. We have hockey game 7s.
Hey, don't forget Knicks and Heat game 1.
If Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing aren't in the building for at least a handful of those games, I'll be very disappointed.
What we really need is a Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah, we need Van Gundy on the ground, grabbing onto a leg, going.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so good to have basketball. We could have Knicks, Heat, and Kings, Lakers in round 2. Man, it's like late 90s, early 2000s all over again, and I am so excited.
It is awesome.
Enjoy the race, enjoy all the sports. Let us know down in the comments your favorite bet. If you haven't clicked subscribe and you're still watching, please do that. You're obviously enjoying the content. Hit the thumbs up. We really appreciate everybody who's hopped on and enjoyed the ride. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the race, and we'll talk to you next time.